My wife and I went to the theater this evening and we watched The Fourth Kind. It was a pretty decent movie. My only problem is, even though they claim it's real, it really wasn't. It was a disappointment. The movie itself was, well acted. Has some well-known actors in it. Can't pronounce her name too well. I believe it's Milla Jovovich. She starred in movies like Resident Evil. It's one of those things. While the movie was unfolding, they showed two perspectives. One perspective was supposed to be documented footage, proof, and then the other half would be the actors, the Hollywood perspective. It was pretty decent. It was about a psychiatrist played by Jovovich. She discovers that most of her patients were having a reoccurring dream about an owl, which ends up tying in, and you find out that it's about alien gray abduction. What really is upsetting is that at the beginning of the movie, they have Jovovich come out, and she tells everyone in the audience that it's based on true fact. And she keeps stressing it's true, it's real. And they use real archived footage and audio sound bites from like psychiatric filmings and everything else. But after returning home from the theater with my wife, I decided to do a search for it on Google and whatnot. And come to find out, after the movie was released back in November 6th of 2009, people started calling the town of Nome, Alaska. See, this is where the movie takes place. And apparently it really upset the officials. They claimed, no one of that name lived there. The events never occurred. Now it's really strange when you really think about it. And there's a few things that come to mind. First of all, Hollywood has been known for this sort of thing. I mean, first of all, the Blair Witch Project. Obviously, it wasn't a Hollywood production. It was a bunch of kids that bought a $1,000 camcorder at Best Buy. It was a good movie. And then, of course, there was Paranormal Activity. At the beginning of the movie, they never mentioned that it was real. At the end, they pretty much hinted the fact that it was a bunch of BS. It was just, their way of creating an inexpensive, cheap thrill for everyone to watch. And that upset most people, especially the people that were commenting in some of these boards on the internet about The Fourth Kind, was that, they had Jovovich on there trying to convince everyone that this movie was real. And I have to admit, that is a bit upsetting. They really had no right doing that. And it was a viral campaign. They were just trying to make a fast buck. And yes, it's for entertainment value, but there have been a lot of people who really do and have believed that they were abducted, and their lives have been turned inside out and upside down, to the point that some of them have ended up in psychiatric wards, and worse, committed suicide. And there are people out there who really want the truth. And I guess in the past year or so, they did a survey. I don't know who it was. I read it on Yahoo News. And about 80% of the American populace, or was it 90%, believe in extraterrestrial life and that the governments are covering it up. Well, that kind of leads me back to the beginning of what I said, that it could be a few things. Warner Brothers came forward and said that the movie was a bunch of bullshit, that none of it was real. Now, the flip side to the coin is, could it have been real? Well, who knows? Maybe they were afraid of being sued by the town or the officials. You never know. Or maybe Warner Brothers never came forward and said it was real, and it's just a misinformation campaign. You see, that's the problem. The biggest thing with the internet nowadays, especially now since it's grown into this big, massive, collective ball of information. You can go anywhere you want. There are people on the internet that do work for the government, for all the world, for all the governments of the world, that do come to places like YouTube and who create websites that serve the purpose of one thing, that to create misinformation, to discredit. And there is so much of that discrediting information out there. And there are so many people who've come forward with experiences that have been discredited. And it's become so difficult for people like, you and I to discern the difference between, truth and fiction. And that's where it's really difficult to draw that line. It's hard to tell. When Warner Brothers first announced the movie, they kept telling everyone that it was real, that it was based on fact. Well, loosely, I guess you could say it was. There are people who claim to have been abducted. In my life so far, I have seen things that can't be explained. And I'm not talking about small little balls in the sky. I have seen some things that were close enough to know that it wasn't a plane or a helicopter. But that's not something I can prove to you or anyone else. I didn't have a camera, There are some people out there who have been fortunate enough, who have been on vacation and so forth, that have taken pictures, And there are some clear pictures out there that show that something has been flying in the skies, or, all over Earth. And there are some photographs that look, fake, pretty obvious. Now, there is an argument that, with all the technology we have available to us, it's really easy to Photoshop things, and it is. If you're good at what you're doing, you can take a picture of yourself and, Photoshop an alien head coming out your butt and, make it look real. But that's the thing. It's been made too easy. And that's what they want. We're living with our eyes closed. And it's scary. It's scary. It really is. Is there really anyone amongst us that really knows the truth? You look at all the videos on YouTube, and it's hard, about, whether it be ghosts or whatnot, and some of them, you can tell they're obvious fakes. Some of them you can't. Others make you sit there, tongue-in-cheek. But you gotta ask yourself, some of those videos, whether it be ghosts or aliens, there are people out there that do it for fun. They just do it for fun to get a laugh. But you gotta ask yourself, who are those other people that just that do it and never comment? Who are they? And what is their purpose? Why does Hollywood do it? There's more to it than just making money, I think. Let's face it. Well, that's all I have to say for tonight. I know I started doing a show called The Open-Minded Chronicles, but right now I don't feel like doing it. As for the ghost thing, about me doing the videos about demons and whatnot, I've taken a break from it for a little while. I've said all I could really say about the subject. Those videos are still receiving responses, and they're helping people, and that's exactly what I wanted those videos to do. I wanted them to help people. And they were based on experiences that I don't want to have ever again, and I hope to never have ever again. But I believe that, the good Lord above had a reason for it. And if I help at least one person with those videos, then hey, that's a good thing. Job well done, I suppose. But, alright guys, peace.